Got to welcome everybody to the Ōtorohanga District Council extraordinary meeting on the 9th of October. Welcome to the thousands of you that are watching this online. It's really good to have you here. And hi, Bruno. This is fairly typical of our meetings that there are so many people watching. So for those that aren't aware, Bruno is our auditor. So we can't see you, but we know you're present. Welcome, everybody. If we could start with evening karakia, please. Mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te titero, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahi te, mā te mananui, mā te aroha, ka taia e tātou. We have one apology this afternoon, and that is from Councillor Jeffries. I'd like to move that his apology be accepted. Second, Councillor Hughes, all in favour? Yes, carried, thank you. Moving on, no late items, no conflicts of interest. So we'll move on to the decision report, which is item 291, annual report, 30th June 2025, the adoption. Over to you, Brendan.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I guess a couple of items to cover from the report. So obviously Risk and Assurance met this morning. They have recommended to the council that you adopt it. And obviously there's members of the committee here that could speak to that further if you have further questions about it. At that meeting, we went through Deloitte's updated final report of what they found, the issues, that sort of stuff. There's a couple of slight changes from what had previously been circulated, but nothing major. I don't think there's anything major, and I don't believe the committee did either, so that's good. In terms of the actual annual report document that you've got in front of you, so obviously that was the one that was sent out Friday, I believe. So there's been some minor changes to that since it was sent out. Obviously we've gone through the last little bits. Deloitte's had their chance to go through it. They found some spelling mistakes. They found adding mistakes, well, not mistakes, but rounding issues. So the problem when you're working in thousands, rounding to the nearest thousands, is you get two numbers added together and the total then looks like it's wrong when you actually add the numbers up manually. So they do a lot of checking of that. They've done that over the last few days. We've made all those changes. There's been no changes to the actual numbers that are there apart from those rounding issues. In terms of other changes, probably slightly more significant. One of our performance measures, they identified which is to do with wastewater compliance with resource consents. We had identified there was one. Being prudent based on last year, we had an abatement notice that we believed had carried over. They actually directly got in touch with the regional council. The regional council said we had no compliance issues, so we've changed that. So we've gone from not achieved to achieved on that case. But all the other performance measures stayed the same. There was a section in the accounting notes about Waikato waters, the water reforms. We took that bit out, but there's a section up above in the section around between wastewater and water, talking about the water reforms. We've expanded on that because now that we have, we've obviously put that we've had the approval from the Secretary of Local Government for our water service delivery plan, and then a bit about quantifying how it's difficult to quantify financial impacts of the transition at this point, and what we expect to happen, some timeframes around that. I think that was pretty much the main changes. And then just spelling mistakes, editing, formatting, so the headings were on the right pages and matched with tables and all that sort of stuff. But that's pretty much, and all the yellow bits have obviously been updated and replaced with proper page numbers and stuff like that. So that's pretty much all the changes from what was circulated.
Awesome. Thanks, Brendan. Just on that, in terms of those changes in numbers, and you said some of them done, when do you, and we've got this associated representation letter that needs to be signed off, when does all that get totally finalised? You've got that final package.
So we've been going back and forth on that the last couple of days. I've sent version 6 to them just after we finished the risk and assurance, so that had all their changes already incorporated. There was Councillor Jeffries identified some changes when he ran through it yesterday, some spelling mistakes, missing words, which Deloitte hadn't picked up. So I've made those changes and sent that through. So that's the version they've got now. So I'm just waiting for them to come back and say for sure that it's absolutely, they're happy with it. But as far as I'm aware, we've covered off with all their points. And I guess we just wait for that final sign off.
So that should be sometime this afternoon.
Yes, yeah. But I think we can safely adopt, on the proviso that we are going to get that sign off
Yep.
If you decide to make that.
Awesome. Okay, there's those that weren't in the risk and insurance meeting this morning. There's a lot of questions asked, and Peter Stubbs, the chair of the risk and insurance committee, was online. Bruno from Deloitte was watching. Things were covered off pretty thoroughly this morning. So for those that weren't there, those were, of course, the floor's open to questions. Yes, Councillor Dow.
Just one.
Quick one, please.
On page 31, but just from my own thought where it comes from, the cost of service statement.
Yep.
The other general sources like this 12 million, where does that actually come from?
So that's recoveries of overheads. So if you recall, when we went through the long-term plan, I tried to explain how the overheads work.
Yeah.
So basically, with the new long-term plan, all of our departments and staff are included in that trusted leadership group.
Yeah.
And so the other general sources is them charging their time to other activities. So for example, the roading team under Paul, a lot of their time gets charged to the land transport activity.
Yeah.
So it's an internal charge. So we treat it, it's not really income. It's not income in the sense that we're not getting cash in or anything. It's just income as another source. So that's what that relates to. So
That's what I thought. That's just, yeah.
Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Prendergast.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to just comment the same as was commented this morning at the risk and assurance meeting. As a thank you to Brendan and the entire team for all the hard work that has gone into this. This is about a month early and it's been a huge amount of work. And just a comment that was made really that from a ratepayer point of view, and that, you know, this is the story about last year, and I think it's a shame that there are so many not achieves in that. So many of them do have a very logical explanation, which is probably not spelled out quite through the report. And there was a comment made also that about the length of the report and wading through it, but that's what these reports are. So to add more of an explanation, which I still think would be a good idea, will increase the length of the report.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that is something we will take into consideration for next year, whether there's a succinct way to add some explanations. And obviously that will depend on what the explanation is and how difficult it is to explain. But we can definitely look at doing that next year.
thank you.
Councillor Christensen.
Thank you. Mine are more just around how we report. I think just questions, just so I understand it. Like for the polls,
Yes.
we don't report on complaints. It's only on complaints.
Yes.
Everywhere else, we've got complaints.
Yeah.
There's no complaints in this, and I know that there has been.
Right.
So I'm just wondering why we don't.
So what we report on here is what's been identified in the long-term plan is what we want to report on. So we could report on complaints for swimming pools if that was put into the next LTP as a performance measure. Having said that, this is just reporting on what's in the LTP. There's nothing to stop us from doing separate reports on those sort of things outside of the LTP or outside of the annual report if we wanted to do that. So
Okay. No, it just jumped out at me because everywhere else there complaints and there isn't. And and it's sad that we didn't comply just because of some copper wiring and not sending the message properly and stuff like that. So and then I had another one and it was around the road. Yeah, I thought it's really sad that we're not achieving.
Do you have a page number?
Well, I've got a hard copy and I don't know if it matches up. 55. Yeah, because I was just looking over Rodney's shoulder.
Yes.
Land transport?
Yeah.
Okay. No, so I just thought it was quite sad that we're not achieving because there's accidents, and that's not actually anything to do with how we maintain our roads. So I think maybe for the new council, that needs to be looked at too.
Yeah, so I guess that's a tricky one, and that's a mandatory measure that we're required to put in by DIA. So we have to measure it. And it's also a tricky one to put a target on because you don't want to have a target of, oh, we want 2 more crashes than last year. So your target is really 0. But as you say, we have some control over, obviously.
Yeah.
If the road's too smooth, too rough, we got sufficient barriers and all that sort of stuff. So we do have some control over it, but a lot of the time, it's outside.
I would say, yeah, most of the time it's nothing to do with how we maintain our roads. So even if it was broken down into 2 I just don't know, because it doesn't look good for us, but it's not actually our fault.
No.
And then there was just one more, and that was probably for Mark's team, the 20, I don't know. Oh, no, you don't need the page. You don't, seriously. The 27% loss of water over the whole system.
Yep.
Do we see that going down at all in the future? Because it's what, a third?
Yeah. So I guess that was obviously the other thing. We've put some trend graphs in over the last 5 years, and they've obviously been updated this stuff. So for Ōtorohanga, yes, it's definitely gone down. Kawhi has dropped down, but then has shot back up this year. And I guess that's because historically up until this year, Kawhi has been based on a calculation methodology because we didn't have meters and data in. Now that we have the data, it's more accurate information. But I think as a result of having those meters, as I understand, so identified some leaks that have been repaired or processes have been repaired. So that I would expect that Kawhi will probably drop down again. And as I say, Ōtorohanga has been trending down the last 2 years. So that's good.
Cool.
Mark, wanted to add anything to that?
Ōtorohanga is trending down. You can never get to 0. If you can get anywhere between 15 and 20%, you're probably doing really well. So we're not far off that now. I'd like to see that improve again. Kawhi, I think that was a bit of an outlier, that one in 23, 24, and I think we're probably getting closer to where it probably realistically sits in that 20% turmoil.
That's all, and just ditto to what Kathy said about thanks to the staff, because it's mind-boggling reading it, so I'd hate to put it together.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, just on page 134 near the end, just on the balanced budget benchmark. In the last 3 years, we've been not met, and is that just because of land transport subsidies and depreciation? Is that?
Yeah, predominantly. So it's the subsidy, obviously not getting as much subsidy means that it's more difficult, but particularly when you're comparing, because this compares actual versus budget, and operating versus revenue. So because we budgeted for a lot of stuff, but then didn't get the subsidy because of NZTA's decisions that came after we'd done the budgets, that didn't help with the 24-25 year. Previous years, depreciation is also the other big thing here. So when we have a revaluation, depreciation, if it goes up a lot more than we budgeted, will mean that our expenses are higher, but we don't have the revenue coming in to offset that. And then obviously as part of the LTP, you'll recall that we did use depreciation reserves to try and reduce our rates increase. So that obviously also affects our balanced budget. Yes, and yeah, actually that's a good point. There's a couple of items in the operating side of things, for example, the TCPs, the desludging of the wastewater ponds in town that are actually loan funded or internal loan funded. And so they have no revenue. So they also impact on that as well, because the money's not showing as revenue, but
So
it's been covered.
So if you're going to look at a cash balance budget, that wouldn't look anything like that, is it?
No, from a cash point of view, it would look completely different.
Okay.
This is accounting.
Yeah.
Budget.
And just one more thing, I just can't remember where I read it, but our current debt is 12 million, is that, and it's gone up 3 million over the last year, is that right? From 9 million to 3.
Yeah.
And is that, just remind me where we snuck up on that, is that the It's not the Kiwi House, is it? That was
No.
prior to that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was prior to that. I think it's just been a cash flow thing. So again, partly because we had to use depreciation reserves, which are not really cash, that there are not real cash in the bank. So by using that and not having the revenue coming in, we've had to borrow a little bit more to cover that. And then some of the additional capital expenditure we've had. Obviously, we finished off the massive wastewater lock mains renewals in town. That came to about 5.7 million in the end. So it's a lot of capex the last year as well. So from cash flow point of view, we had to borrow.
So I can understand capex, but surely there must be some changes we can implement for the non-capex reason that we're having to borrow more.
Yeah, and I guess it predominantly is the capex side of things more than the operating. In this case, again, the operating is probably things like the TCP and the things that we use internal loans for. It probably ends up that we have to do some external borrowing, but it's not that big in the grand scheme of that 3 million. Probably there might be 300,000-400,000 of it. The bulk of it is around the capex.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Hey, sorry, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you. Just comments really. Overall, I'm not sure whether it's because this is the 12th time I've read one of these, but yeah, I think it's the comparison between what we're producing now and what we have done is much more readable. Yeah, the not achieved sort of hit you in the face, but people are reading them, they'll see that, yeah, while 27% might not be a good feeling, it's only 2% away from being an achieved end, like 86 instead of an 85, and throughout the document there's plenty of that there. So and the variation between budget and actual in most cases pretty good. So I think, yeah, well done to everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Tomaki.
Just in the other expenses on page 101 or it has youth initiatives.
Yes.
Cool.
So predominantly, just back to mine.
No one.
So predominantly that'll be Mayor's Task Force jobs.
Oh, cool. That's what it is.
And there's some other minor things there, but the bulk of it is Mayor's Task Force jobs.
Cool. Thank you.
No further questions? Look, I'm just want to reiterate what everybody else has said about thank you for the hard work you've done, Brendan, and to all the management around here that rally the teams together to get the information that Brendan's needed to get this across the line. Bunny, for that overarching support of everything that's gone on. So thank you. I think we got there with the data sphere. Cool. So that's real relief. I do have a staff recommendation in front of me, and that is that the council adopts the 30th June 2025 annual report and sign the associated representation letter. I'd like to move that. Second, Councillor Williams. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we close the meeting, we'll just go to our closing karakia, which is again, Mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te titiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te maitahi, mā te maranganui,
Mā te aroha, ka tae e tātou.
And I declare the meeting closed.
There's a condition.
Thank you.
Thanks,